Welcome to Just Horsemanship. Today is the last episode of this series, Backing Toarmina. And we'll have a busy schedule this week. A lot of developments, all happening around the same time. Mounting loose. The day finally has arrived that we mount by ourselves. The reward of taking our time with this process is very visible. Toarmina is relaxed and doesn't care at all when she gets mounted. We go on, spending about 10 to 15 minutes establishing a good walk in both directions. Loose this time, no more lunge line. A rider is asked to take full control over tempo, though help from the ground will be available when needed. Then, when the moment is right and her walk is good, it's time to test her up transition to the trot. Since we spent a considerable amount of time teaching Toarmina to lunge, here I recommended the rider to use her lunging voice commands to support her leg aids. This helps clarify to the horse what is expected of her. And for the first trot created by the rider, we couldn't expect anything better from Toarmina. A little tense in the transition, but not bad at all. The trot itself was decent. Toarmina's looking happy and overall getting more used to carrying the weight of the rider. Her second transition to the trot already was much better than her first one. You can tell that Toarmina was not affected by the bigger leg aids. She just hadn't experienced it yet. After this short session in the round pen, we decided to go out for a little exploration around the property. Of course for safety, with the lunge and the ground person attached. However, because we already have been hand walking her around the property many times, Toarmina wasn't particularly fazed by this walk and us adding the rider to the equation. She was so relaxed that, when we arrived at the riding field, we decided to see how she would be at a trot on the lunge. So again, after a few minutes of walking around to make sure Toarmina was still okay with everything, on to the trot we went. One of the biggest things that we had going for us here is that in the beginning we were forced to teach Toarmina how to lunge without a round pen, simply because it wasn't built yet. And even though the border of the round pen really helped us while we were breaking her, it was extremely convenient that she already knew how to lunge without a border. This knowledge on the horse's end really sped this moment in training up considerably. And I can highly recommend that while you teach lunging, not to get stuck in the round pen, and also expose your horse to many different things around the property. 2 rides later, with both rides having been repeated in a similar sequence of the ride you just saw, it was time to cut her loose in the big field. Here the expectation was simple. First walking around, and when all goes well, see if we can ask her to trot a little. We are looking for her ability to go around by herself in the walk with confidence, no hesitation or fear. And when asked for her to trot, her willingness to come back again to the walk. The walk is looking good. Toarmina showed no issues here. She's happy to walk around, and even her steering was okay. For the first trot, we'll be looking for Toarmina to stay rideable. The goal here is to make sure she's going as straight as possible down the long side and is willing to come back to the walk at the end. The line for the trot wasn't particularly straight at first and headed for the exit. However, Toarmina's tempo was very nice and stayed with us. Also, her rider was able to make a steering correction and turned Toarmina directly into the corner that we were originally aiming for. Very nice. We repeated this walk, trot, walk exercise a few more times, each with success. From now on, I consider Toarmina broke. Her training will continue on. Over the next few months, we'll be adding the canter, and we will be going off property to school in a strange new environment. Remember, there are many different ways to back a horse. Because of the low stress to the horse, I started to prefer this approach to others.